Are you ready?
Is that the message you got? We about to go live. Are you ready to rock? So take a shot, boy. Is that the message you got? From the fans to the fans, let me hear the crowd pop. So take a shot, boy. Is that the message you got? We about to go live. Are you ready to rock? So take a shot, boy. Is that the message you got? From the fans to the fans, let me hear the crowd pop. So take a shot. Oh yeah. So take a shot. Oh, so take a shot. Oh, so take a shot.
Welcome to another flashback interview on Shot of Wrestling. If you haven't done so already, make sure you follow us on all forms of social media at Shot of Wrestling on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also contact us via email at inbox@ashotofwrestling.com or dial it up 619-343-3005 at a Shot of Wrestling hotline. Now, we say it time and time again that wrestling brings us together, and this time wrestling brought to our show one of my favorite independent wrestlers. Joe Gacy joined us on episode 128 back in August of 2018. And stay tuned to the very end of this interview as we give you an update on what's been going on in the world of the pro wrestling maniac, the unwanted maniac, Joe Gacy. All right. We are here on A Shot of Wrestling, and we have an exclusive interview with the pro wrestling maniac, Joe Gacy. My man, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing real good. This is a real exclusive interview because I actually don't think I've done a podcast in a while, now that I'm thinking about it.
So let's get to know you a little bit better and start from the beginning. What made you decide to pursue a career in professional wrestling?
I mean, that's a pretty easy answer. I would think most people probably would answer it the same way. But as a kid, I, of course, fell in love with pro wrestling, watching, old WWF, Monday Night Raw. Like, me and my brother used to stay up and watch it. And, ever since that moment, that's, I fell in love with wrestling as a whole and knew that one day that's what I was going to be doing.
Then you started your career, you started your training with CZW.
Yes.
How did that come around out of all the schools that are available, especially in our area, which is very dense with pro wrestling? Why CZW?
Well, so at the time, I don't know. It could be one of two things. Either one, maybe at the time there wasn't that many schools, or two, there was, and I just had no idea because I was very naive to the business at the time. This was 2006. So I didn't know much. Of course, me and my friends did the whole backyard thing, which was, it was what it was. Most people nowadays started that way. And one thing led to another. In a nutshell, my brother had a job at a nuclear power plant in New Jersey. And at the time, another person that worked there turned out to be CZW's Lobo. So basically, one thing led to another. They got to talking. He ended up bringing pretty much our whole crew to a CZW show called was an Afternoon of Main Events. It was the show right after Cage of Death 7, I believe. So that was our first show going there together, and we got to meet the owner at the time, John Zandig. From there, he basically recruited all of us to join his school.
Wow.
And that was, pretty much the way it went.
Now, we met a little over, I would say maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And we're a little newer into the independent scene, so we didn't know too much of Joe Gacy in CZW. We met you at a BCW event, and we didn't know you as a hardcore wrestler. But later in the bar at the Elks Lodge, you explained to me that you wanted to get away from the deathmatch wrestling style of wrestling.
Yes.
What brought you to that change?
So when I first joined the company, CZW, so the first guy I saw on TV, back when it was on TV, was a guy named Sick Nick Mondo. To me, he was the embodiment of Combat Zone Wrestling. And me, of course, being a naive kid, like I said, that's what I wanted to be. So joining wrestling, that was what I sought out to be. And then I learned a little bit about how like things work in the business and this and that, and realized that if that's what I became, my body was not going to be able to hold up long enough for me
Mm-hmm.
to achieve what I would like to achieve. And obviously that would be making a living off of this, whether that's, just making a living or trying to get to like, bigger companies. So it took me a little while to figure out like, okay, well, this isn't really what I should be doing. Granted, I enjoyed everything that I did. There was a point where I was doing a lot of like the deathmatch stuff. And I guess you could say that a lot of people knew me for doing that at the time. But then like I kind of did it. Like I was at the point where I wasn't going to achieve anything else doing it. I think I fulfilled everything that I wanted to do in that genre. So I basically took it upon myself to say, okay, well, now I need to move on to the next thing, which is basically, trying to get to the bigger companies and
Mm-hmm.
make a living off of it. So,
Yeah.
and again, it's no knock to anybody that does it. There are tons of guys who are great at it, and I respect the hell out of them, especially me, being somebody that has done minuscule amount of it compared to like some of the stuff these guys have done. I mean, yeah, it's definitely an awesome genre. I love to watch it, but I feel like at this point in my career, definitely trying to stay away from it.
Now, if we're starting early in your career to now, you've had gone through a few monikers or nicknames. Many refer to you as Sloppy Joe, Chainsaw Joe Gacy, Pro Wrestling Maniac. How do you
Mhm.
feel about these nicknames?
So the only so the only nickname that was given to me was Sloppy Joe. Um,
Okay.
so that was given to me by the CZW fans at the time. At the time, I would attempt moves that I thought I could do, but couldn't. So sometimes they would not end up as crisp as I would hope. So it dubbed the term Sloppy Joe, basically. As far as the Chainsaw Joe Gacy, that pretty much came from me being an avid horror movie fan. I
Gotcha.
decided to call myself, Chainsaw Joe Gacy. And then, like, I think a lot of people affiliated that with my old self doing death matches and this and that. So that's honestly one of the main reasons I changed it into the Pro Wrestling Maniac. So yes, I did start calling myself the Pro Wrestling Maniac. But I mean, isn't that how any pro wrestler gets their moniker? I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Uh,
um,
with Chainsaw Joe Gacy and being a horror movie fan, what is your favorite horror movie?
oh, that's tough. Of all time, I would probably have to say Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm.
It used to be Halloween,
Did you like
but
the remakes?
not really, to be honest. I was not never a big fan. I'm not a big fan of remakes in general.
Okay.
There's maybe a handful of remakes that I do enjoy, but anything like anything that remakes like an iconic character like that, I'm not a fan of. Yep.
Uh, we say it a lot on the show. It's kind of become our tagline, but wrestling brings people together, and you have shared the ring with some of the very best of the independent scene and even bigger
Hmm.
main stage names. I mean, names like we could throw out Anthony Gangone, Mike Orlando, Nick Gage,
Hmm.
James Storm, Martin Stone, Austin Theory, Shane Strickland, MJF, Ben Finley. Uh,
Yep.
Brian Cage recently, and that's just to name a few. So, who
Yeah.
has been in all the lists of everybody that you face your toughest opponent? And for anyone searching the web, what would you say is your favorite match that fans need to go watch of yours?
So toughest opponent. I mean, Fit Finley is definitely up there, but that match was also a triple threat match I did. It was me, Fit Finley, and Brody Lee. Now Luke Harper. So that was I chipped my tooth in that match.
Ooh,
So that's something that has a long lasting thing,
yeah.
on my body. But as far as like toughest, like I would say toughest hard hitting. I mean, definitely Nick Gage is always up there.
Hmm.
But also in a sense, he's tough and hard hitting. That's also one of my funnest matches I've ever done. So I mean, you could say anything that I've done with Gage. I've only wrestled him 2 times now. One of them is on YouTube. You can, if you're a fan and you want to see something like that, you could definitely go out of your way to see that. But I will say, if there's anything that I could say to a fan, like this is one of my favorite matches I would like you to watch, I would have to say it definitely would be me versus Martin Stone from the debut show from Standalone Wrestling. To date, that is one of my all-time favorite matches. He literally wrestles the style that I just love. As we were talking about earlier, I love William Regal. So like he has that, British style.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I have fallen in love with in wrestling lately.
Yeah.
So
It was a great match. It was
thank you.
Standalone's inaugural event, and you were the main event, and you earned that main event spot. So if anybody was in the stands and us as fans were watching, we're like, oh, this match is stealing the night. This match is stealing the night. And we get to the main event, and the main event was the main event. There was nothing going to steal it from you guys. You guys had a great story being told in the ring, the back and forth action, and I think the respect afterwards from Martin Stone to you, and just praising you on the match. That must have felt really good.
It honestly did, and I don't know how many people that is listening to this has seen the match, or maybe you'll get a chance to go see it. He did tell a story about how me and him met after the match, and it was a 100% true story that Mania Week in Orlando a few years back, he was at a show that I was on at a nightclub. And he happened to just watch my match and pulled me aside after and just told me he loved everything I did. For him to like actually get on the microphone and say that in front of a whole crowd of people did mean a lot to me. Also, that being like close to one of his last appearances on the independent like shows. So I mean, to me that was definitely one of my favorite moments in wrestling.
Yeah. For sure. I totally understand why. Now, early on in your career, you were mixing it up with also top talent. May not have been as big a top talents as they are now, but if we go back to Switchblade Conspiracy for a moment, you were mixing it up with Sami Callihan and Dean Ambrose. So what brought you guys all together?
What brought us together? So that was kind of a weird not like a bad situation, but so Sami Callihan found his way to Combat Zone Wrestling. This must have been 2008, I want to say. So at the time, I was in a tag team called G&C, which was me and Alex Colon. And things were like we were making kind of like some progress, but we were also like our first year and a half into the business. So I guess long story short, the tag team didn't work out so much. And me and Sammy actually became pretty good friends at the time, so we were actually hanging out a lot. And then he had this idea. He was like, hey, so I'm going to pitch this guy from the Midwest named John Moxley to come into CZW. So apparently he talked to Zandig about it, and Zandig loved it. And then the night Moxley debuted for CZW was basically the start of it. Funny story that I don't think a lot of people know. I did not witness this, but something I heard was that the night John Moxley debuted for CZW, it was like a spot where he pretty much like came out of the crowd and like tried to fight somebody. Zandig was up on the balcony in the ECW arena in Philly. And he looked down and just said, that's going to be the guy that Vince steals from us.
Oh, fuck.
And that's, obviously, where's he at now? So.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go off track for a little bit because it's an interesting story. But how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the WWE taking a lot of the big stars that are making it in the independent scene? And the reason I ask is because how do you feel now with the big Cody Rhodes Young Bucks movement, where these are the guys that kind of felt rejected by the WWE in creative and now are making a bigger impact in the professional wrestling scene? So
I mean, you could definitely go either way with it. I mean, me personally, I love that WWE is doing what they're doing. I mean, it makes their product, I think, a lot more versatile, like taking these guys that have been wrestling for so long already and bringing them in rather than taking guys that know nothing about wrestling and just training them to wrestle. Like, I think it makes the product a lot different and in the best way possible. I mean, realistically, like, I think everyone knew this was going to happen. The independent, like, wrestling scene has pretty much gotten as big as it's ever been in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And, WWE has noticed. So obviously they're going to take these guys who are already stars and just give them a bigger platform. I mean, honestly, for those guys, I couldn't be happier. They're obviously, getting paid pretty well to do what they love to do. WWE, I feel like, has grown from it also. I mean, the product's a lot different. Like, if you watch how it is today, compare it to the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s, it's completely different. But,
yeah.
I think it's great. And also, like, on the other side, like, you bring up Cody and the Young Bucks. So, like, I don't think anyone ever expected anyone to ever do what they're doing, especially like independent wrestling, like especially somebody like Cody to walk away from, basically the biggest company in the world
Right.
for professional wrestling and deciding that he's okay with leaving that comfort of, a cushy life, I guess you could say. Not saying that, he doesn't live that still, but like he basically left, I would say, a comfort zone in order to come out and basically make a new name for himself, which I 100% respect the hell out of somebody that would do that. And now, like, them and, him and the Young Bucks and the Bullet Club, and basically they blew up into like a crazy sensation that is all over the world also. And now they like just sold out, an arena for a show that they are running. So bravo to them. And I mean, I hope that they were, do more after this show. I'm sure will be successful. Hopefully they'll do another one, and maybe, it'll turn into something else. Who knows? I mean, I think it's great. I think everyone succeeding the way they are is just making pro wrestling thrive as a whole. So, I only want success for everybody that, basically goes for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Totally agree. Is there anybody that you've faced off, or is there anybody that you see out in the independent scene that you could see as the next person that Vince would steal?
Right now, like who else? I mean, I think there's a lot of women right now that could be picked up.
I
There's
think
like
that's
plenty
probably
of.
where the next move for the WWE will be. Is
I
that
think it is.
that you will see a lot more of the women in the independent scene getting picked up and creating names for themselves up there.
Yeah.
Especially with the
Yeah.
whole women's movement that they're pushing, which again has started in the independent scene.
Yeah. 100%.
Now, I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Now, it's okay if you can't think of a name. You could throw yourself in there.
Sure.
Right? You're one.
I mean,
You're the
that's the hope.
name. You're the name that they got their eye on. That next name that they're gonna pick up, and I strongly believe it. Ever since I saw you in action, but many who see you in action would say that you are one of the most underrated talents in the independent scene. Do you agree
Well,
with
thank
that
you.
statement?
I mean, a lot of people tell me I am. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tell everyone like, oh, I'm very underrated, but like, I like to believe I work hard at what I do, and would like opportunity, the companies I would like to see myself in. So that's really, I guess, all I can say about it. Am I underrated? Maybe, but that's honestly not for me to say.
Is there anything that you're doing in 2018? We're halfway through it right now that will make a better opportunity for you by the end of the year?
Well, it's not 100% confirmed yet, but I am supposed to be going back to Europe or
Hmm.
England, more specifically, sorry, the UK. So I'll be going back to England hopefully for a longer stay. I did go in May. I did one show for a company called IPW UK,
Yep.
which is a great company. I had a great time over there. Had an awesome match with a guy named Mark Haskins. And apparently, like, everyone there like loved it and liked me a lot. So I spoke with them, and they're definitely going to bring me back. He said hopefully before the end of the year. So I'm hoping to go back there. Honestly, my goal right now is to just make moves in other countries. Honestly, like, England was always a bucket list thing for me. So at least I got to do it once.
Yeah.
But I would love to, go there. I'd love to make it to other places. Definitely Germany. Germany is like a big thing for me that I want to do one day. I mean, as far as the rest of the year, that's probably, I mean, besides the big Boardwalk Beatdown thing this month, and some other stuff, some other shows that, I'll be at. I think England's probably the big thing for me before the end of the year, I hope.
Do you see yourself interested in New Japan Pro Wrestling?
Absolutely. If an opportunity arose, or if I had any chance to, get in front of anybody there, I would definitely take them up on it.
Cool. Now you mentioned Boardwalk Beatdown. It's going to be their
Yes.
Night of Champions. Breakout is the name of the show. We've talked about you being the top tier of the independent scene, and standalone wrestling. It's putting you back again on that top tier to fight in the Tournament of Champions. How do you feel about your opponents? Because you're going to be going. I mean, the names are great, amazing in this match. You got DeMarcus Kane, Matt Riddle, yourself, Ryan Gallione. Big names to be the first ever standalone wrestling champion.
It's true. I'm very excited. I've never have been in the ring with DeMarcus Kane, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. One time I've been in the ring with Ryan Gallione. He's definitely a very versatile
He's a
wrestler.
big dude.
He is a big dude, but he's also very like agile, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of crazy. And then of course the one guy that keeps escaping me that I've been wanting to wrestle is Matt Riddle. So I mean, it seems like this is going to be my one and last chance for me to get in the ring with him, at least for a while. So I'm looking forward to it. I've been trying to get a one-on-one with Matt Riddle, but that has not come to fruition. So I'll have to take this four-way.
Yeah, you may not have much time left to that.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
you were my favorite BCW champion. You know, that's our home promotion right in our backyard. And we always tell everybody, if you want to see the best wrestling outside of the WWE, you don't have to go far. Just look into your backyard, and I'm sure you'll find the next top stars. The match you had with Mike Orlando there was one of my favorites, to be honest with you. People were so invested in that match. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It truly was amazing. And you left as champion. And the first thing you did was you put an SOW shirt on,
I
which was
did.
fucking awesome. It was a
I
cold
did.
night. The Green Man was there for you.
I know. I remember, and I'll never forget it.
While we're talking about championships, I mean, you've held the CZW Wire Championship on 3 separate occasions, the CZW Heavyweight Championship on 2 occasions. Now, for someone who trained for the company, who went there and saw the action and had a lot of idols in that group, how did it feel to become not just the Wire Champion but the Heavyweight Champion?
So the Wire Championship was a very big deal to me when I won it the first time, and then the heavyweight title honestly was the culmination of a lot of emotions. Basically, I had a very rough couple months leading into that. There was actually a point in time where I thought about leaving the company.
Really?
Yeah. And then I don't know, one thing led to another, and I had my moment in the sun, I guess you could say. I had the match with Jonathan Gresham at Cage of Death. And then I won the belt, and it honestly, like, there was a part of me that didn't feel like it was going to happen until it actually did. And then it kind of like when the bell rang and my music started and I got announced as champion, I actually, like, if you ever watch the video, I looked down and actually was in disbelief that I achieved the goal that I set out to do ever since I stepped in a CZW ring. So it was a very good moment for me.
Are titles really important in professional wrestling as a wrestler? Because we could talk about, a booker's going to book the right matches and they're going to create their champion, the backstage politics around it. So does a championship really mean something?
I mean, I believe it does. I'm not going to be one of these guys that, walk around and flaunt a title belt. I mean, there's people that say a title belt is a prop, but to me, being a champion is being a representative of the company that you are champion for. So that means that there's somebody or a team of people that put that belief in you that they are okay with you being the face of their vision. So to me, it's a big deal. I mean, anyone who's, starts wrestling, they dream to be the champion somewhere. So for somebody to put that much faith in you, to pretty much put a company on your back, I mean, that means a lot, I think. And I mean, also, like, depending on the company, there's people that is a big deal. So being a champion there is basically, representing that company. Like, you have their name on you. So that can definitely, help you out in other ways also.
Yeah, the second time now that you won the championship was for just a few moments.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, 2-time CZW heavyweight champion, but that's
We'll call it like 1.5.
How did that feel? Because we could talk about what people mostly know, the WWE, and they have someone coming in, and they will call him a transitional champion. So how do you feel about being the transitional champion the second time around?
I mean, it was what it was. It was something that served a purpose, and it was totally okay. I mean, there was talk of things going a little differently, but because of the direction things were supposed to go, that was the best way to get there. So it's fine.
How do you feel where the direction of CZW is going right now? Because there definitely has been a change, and a lot of fans have been
Big
vocal
changes
about the changes.
They have been vocal. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and, shove things down people's throats, but CZW is definitely a very different company than it used to be. Some people are deciding to not follow it anymore because it's not what it was. But when a company has been around for as long as a company like CZW has, you can't just keep doing the same thing. It doesn't work. You have to try new things, change things up a little bit. Realistically, you have to let yourself sink or swim. But I will say this, I will leave people with this on that subject. Now, imagine when, if you're a fan listening to this, I'm speaking to you, if you're a CZW fan, imagine when you first saw Combat Zone Wrestling, like for the very first time, and it's just a roster full of guys you've never seen, you've never heard of, nothing like that. You were interested in learning. All I ask is fans right now. There's a lot of guys on the roster that are new, fresh, young faces. Give them a chance and try to learn about them and see where they go instead of sticking your nose up at them, I guess is the best way to say it.
I agree. As I'm talking to more and more people and seeing more of the product progressing, my initial reaction of, things are changing, not for the better with CZW, is starting to change. And I think it's a lot to your point. Like, you got to give those new guys a chance. And as wrestling fans, as independent wrestling fans, that's what we're all about. We're all about giving someone a chance, giving them the opportunity to prove themselves, because they are going to be that next big star that then we're going to turn and be upset that the WWE just took someone else away from me.
Exactly.
Some of that homegrown talent. But it feels like, CZW is at the rebirth again, where it's like it's starting to grow that new crop of talent. And, at first I wasn't a fan of it. I'm starting to get interested again into what CZW is becoming. And it's exciting. It really is.
It is. I think that's what it is. I think a lot of the fans that complain have that nostalgia where they see CZW in one way, where it was like the best time of their life because maybe they were at a different point in their life. So it was just like it was great for them at that time, but like you can't just have the same thing over and over again. So exactly what you said. It's basically a rebirth. It's CZW starting over in a way. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying, because I know there's a lot of like things going on in the world of wrestling, and I don't know if anyone even really understands, but there's, some silly drama going on between, certain wrestling promotions. If you're a wrestling fan, like be a fan. Don't, you don't have to pick sides between companies that maybe don't like each other. If you're a wrestling fan, be a wrestling fan and, support what you like and enjoy what you watch.
Now, do you keep track of the stats? Because PWI 500 wrestlers in 2017 marked you as 234. That it's just one away. The name Lince Dorado is right below you.
I know. I saw that. I know Lince Dorado, and I made fun of him.
That's pretty awesome. When you started in 2011, you were 441. So you've come a long way. That's a little bit over 200 people you just jumped over in a few years.
And
does that matter to you at all?
It does. So I'll explain before there's people listening going, oh, what a mark. So like I know the 500 list is complete crap. Like not crap, but like it's there's no real statistics behind it. It's basically whoever's putting it together that year ranks people where they think they should be. But me being that far up there, like basically, what number was I again?
234.
So I'm past the midway point, which to me is like it's a big deal. Like I don't care my actual number, but like to be on a list and especially that high, that's a big deal for me. It's pretty awesome.
I agree. I think you've been making moves. If like you said, it could be bullshit, because it's just based on a group of people deciding who you are, but also your body of work that you're putting in year after year and the matches that you're putting together, they speak to someone. And even if it's that small group that's moving you up on the list, that's a fan base. And like I said, if we haven't seen you in action, you're missing out on Joe fucking Gacy, because in ring, you're above the rest, in my opinion.
Well, thank you.
We got to see you WrestleMania weekend. How was WrestleMania for you? New Orleans?
New Orleans was the best time of my life.
Yeah? It was the
Yeah, I had
longest
so
weekend
much
of my
fun.
life, by the way. The longest. Oh my God.
The one time we saw
Chug.
you, you seemed so tired. I can't remember where we were, but I just remember seeing you going, "Oh man, you look like you could use some rest." Um,
I'm sure I did.
no, I mean that week we were there was a great time. I checked another thing off my bucket list, wrestling for Kaiju Big Battle.
Oh
That
wow.
was fantastic. Yeah, that was a great week. I've never been to New Orleans, so that was a great experience for me.
So you mentioned the bucket list earlier. Who is on your bucket list of opponents? Any top opponents that you want to face off against?
I would love to do David Starr,
Mm.
which we did do one time before, but it was so long ago that I would like to do it again. Uh, but my big one right now would be Steve Blackman.
Mm.
I
Okay.
want I want Steve Blackman. People are calling people out. I want to wrestle Steve Blackman.
Okay. You heard it here at a shot of wrestling. Book it. Uh,
Somebody book it.
I always like to ask this, but if you who you are now, the pro
Mhm.
wrestling maniac, Joe Gacy, if you were to put yourself in the WWE in a major storyline, what storyline currently would you want to be part of?
I mean, I feel like realistically, if I was kept the same way I am now, realistically, I would have to do something with Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy.
Oh, yes.
Like
Yes.
realistically, that's where I would see it going.
Now, in the business, I'm sure you've had many mentors and friends. Who right now currently do you consider your biggest mentor and your closest friend?
See, mentor. So this is actually going to be kind of weird. I don't think I currently have like a mentor. I actually used to, but like lately, I've kind of just been about handling things myself, I guess.
Okay.
Um, I do have a lot of friends. Closest right now would probably be a guy named Alexander James.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the rep, Nate Carter and Dave Paul.
Cool dudes.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, as of right now in wrestling, they're probably my closest friends. Also, Greg Excellent.
Mm.
I mean, if anybody, I would say Greg Excellent might be the closest thing I have to a mentor at the moment. Any problems I have, I usually go to him before anybody. So he usually gives me good advice.
Do you see yourself mentoring the younger crop of superstars now that you've been in the business a few years?
Actually, yes. I don't think it's been really publicly announced yet, but beginning next week, I will be taking over training at the CZW school.
Shut the fuck up. That's awesome.
So I will actually be an official head trainer there.
Fuck. If
So
I
I'll
ever
be.
wanted to be a professional wrestler, I might just need to go to CZW right now.
There you go. So I'll be doing that.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I've had hands in training, but I've never like really taken over something like this before. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good time, and I can pass on my knowledge I have to other people. So I'm looking forward to it.
Good times, good times. And the best times, Joe, are going to
Uh-huh.
come the weekend of Boardwalk Beatdown, which
I can't
is
wait.
August 24th and 25th. I think it's one of the greatest things that's happening in our area in a long time. Can you
I
agree
agree.
with that, right? I mean, it's
Yes.
just the amount of people that are going to be attending this convention and the card, like we mentioned earlier, that Standalone Wrestling is putting together after the
Mhm.
convention is amazing.
I mean, all of their shows they put together so far. I mean, this is only their third one, but everything they put together has been like amazing so far. So I'm looking forward to it.
August 24th and 25th, Boardwalk Beatdown. We have Dinners with the Stars. Hopefully, we'll see you at Dinner with the Stars. I'm telling you,
I would like to be there, so I'm gonna try.
Shot of Wrestling will be there, hoping to coax our friends, the Boulevard Bullies, to come on down, and we'll have a great time.
Sounds like a blast.
We're wrapping up our time, so if there's anything you want to tell the professional wrestling community about Joe Gacy, what would it be?
I guess all I could say is if you're in wrestling, if you're not in wrestling, if you are just a person going through a hard time in life, don't give up on yourself because I almost did, and I almost walked away from pro wrestling before. I don't know if you know this either.
No. Oh, snap.
There was a point in time where I was kind of so down, I almost left wrestling, and I stuck around. I gritted my teeth, and I got through hard times. And now, honestly, I am 100% happy I didn't leave because I'm in such a good place now that I wouldn't have known what could have came if I left.
What year was that?
So,
When was that going on?
ooh, maybe 2012, 2013,
Oh, okay. Early
around that
on in
time
the
period.
career.
Yeah. So if you're in wrestling and you're feeling down, just keep grinding, keep doing what you do, and eventually you get to where you want to go. But you can apply that to everyday life also. If you're somebody that is feeling down about life, don't give up. Keep grinding away, and eventually you'll get to where you want to be.
Awesome. And with that message, I'm sure everybody wants to follow Joe Gacy on social media. So
I
where
love
could we
having
do that?
followers. So social media, I would put my Facebook out there, but I'm at maximum capacity friends, and
Wow.
still have 500 requests that
Shit.
I have not approved. So if you are waiting on a friend request from me, I apologize. I am at capacity. You can follow me on Twitter, just at Joe Gacy, very simple, or Instagram. You can follow me at Joe_Gacy. I also now have a new YouTube channel I'm trying to get subscribers at. I believe if you just search Joe Gacy, it should come up. I'm honestly not sure if there's an address for that, and that's really all I have.
Joe, it was a pleasure. Thanks for spending some time with us and letting us in to your world of professional wrestling. And on that note, we'll get through the news and some Raw and SmackDown cheers and heels, and then we'll talk some more with Joe Gacy. Thanks, brother.
No problem. Thank you. Stay tuned to the end of the episode with Last Call with the Pro Wrestling Maniac, Joe Gacy.
All right, everybody. That is why Joe Gacy is one of my personal favorite independent wrestling stars. And I got to tell you, this guy is going to have a rocket on him that's going to take him to so many other places. And there's already examples of what he has been able to do since he recorded that interview on August of 2018. Now, joining me today is a friend to the show, someone who's working behind the scenes, in the front of scenes, on the front line about everything a shot of wrestling. Good friend, Jimmy J. Welcome to Flashback Interviews here, brother.
I'm excited to be here, Gray Man. I'm thrilled because especially on this episode right here, man, Joe Gacy. There's something very special about Joe Gacy, which I'm going to unveil when one time or another in this conversation. So we'll get to that.
Truth be told, you selected this as the interview that you wanted to recap and review.
Yes, sir.
What is it about Joe Gacy that got you interested in, like, I want to be part of this flashback?
Well, first and foremost, the individual as a human being, even when I met him, very genuine, down to earth, humble guy. Okay, he's a hard worker, and on top of all that, okay, he was the first match that I seen, the first main event that I seen at my very first independent wrestling show was him and Anthony Gangone in the main event in a street fight, and it was a damn good match, man. And I was just after that match, and mind you, there was other great matches on that card, but after witnessing that match, I was hooked on independent wrestling.
Wow. That's a heavy statement there. That is awesome. I mean, in the interview, we talked about his main event that he had at Standalone Wrestling and how he really lived up to what a main event should be. And it was a great card from top to bottom. So for him to go one-on-one with Martin Stone and be able to be that main event, to the testament that you had, that he made you independent, follower and a believer in independent wrestling. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, man. He did it. That was the guy for me. So when I had an opportunity to come on here with you guys and rewind, if you will, some of the episodes, this was the one I had to pick.
I got to tell you, I wish you were part of the team back in 2018, because this interview was leading up to us going to one of your favorite places, Atlantic City, for Boardwalk Beatdown. It was a big convention that Standalone Wrestling was putting together. And I mean, we got to see Sting, we got to see the Bucks, the Bullet Club, Bruce the Barber Beefcake, Lex Luger. I mean, the list goes on and on. James Ellsworth was signing at our Shot of Wrestling table. I mean, it was a very special way to end the summer of 2018. And man, I wish you were there for that. You would have loved it.
Dude, I wish I was a part of the team back then, man. And you mentioned something about AC. Atlantic City's like my home away from home.
Mm-hmm.
On a side note, we're gonna talk off air. I got some good deals for us, and the crew when we go down there. But yeah, that would have been awesome. I would have killed two birds with one stone, man. I would have loved going down there with you guys if I was a part of the team then. But hey, listen, thinking forward, it's not something that's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, maybe right now because everybody's on lockdown right now. But once things clear up, it's definitely something we can make happen.
Well, there were some questions that were left unanswered during this interview. And he mentioned, he was chasing Matt Riddle for a while. And finally, at Boardwalk Beatdown that weekend, he was supposed to have a four-way. Now, we chuckled a little bit about, you got to try to get that match before, you can't have that match anymore. Because we already had known that there were already rumors that Matt Riddle was signing with the WWE. So it was just a matter of time, like literally days after the interview posted. It was like, he signed, he was going to the E, and the last show that he worked that summer was actually Joey Janela's Lost in New York. So unfortunately, Joe did not get his match with Matt Riddle.
Matt Riddle. Yep.
And we talked a little bit about this off air, but he never got his match with Steve Blackman either.
Oh, Steve Blackman. I know. And, I listened. Man, let me tell you something. That would have been a damn good match. What happened to Steve Blackman? Where is Blackman right now? Can we get him on the line with Gacy? Can we arrange this? Can we make this happen? I mean, Blackman, Gacy, book it. Somebody book it. Lions Den.
I totally dig the fact that he called him out because that's someone that you haven't heard in the wrestling scene for a while. So for him to throw that name out there, I was like, hell yeah, I fucking want to see that too, right?
Dude, when I heard that name, I'm like, I marked out, and I probably am the only individual on the planet Earth right now that marks out for Steve Blackman. Like, who? What?
Who?
Blackman? Who? Jimmy J. Blackman. I started singing the song, and I'm like, I was getting ready to go over here, man. I started grabbing the broomsticks, and I'm like, as we're cleaning for the coronavirus pandemic, I'm twirling them around like a goddamn baton over here.
Well, Jimmy, a lot has happened since 2018. Joe Gacy has since then regained the CCW championship. So he actually is a 3-time champion. He continues to be on the PWI 500 list. This past year, in 2019, he was number 304. He has signed with Evolve, and he was tag team champions with Eddie Kingston. Believe it or not, they beat the current WWE Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, to get the Evolve Tag Team Championship. Like, a lot has been going on in this man's career, and I'm just literally touching over the surface. Like I said, he is one of my favorites. We have kept in touch in the last few years. Jimmy, this is going to be something really cool that hasn't happened on any of these flashbacks, but what do you say we try to give him a call? And
wait a minute. I'm sorry. We're actually going to call Joe right now?
Why not? I still got his number. What do you say we give him a call, see if he picks up, and actually see what he's been up to since August of 2018?
Hell yeah, let's do it. I mean, you think he's going to answer right now? Shit, I mean, I'm down.
You down? If you're down, I'm down. I'm going to call him right now, brother. Just hold on one moment.
Oh, man. Goosebumps.
Hello.
What's up, my friend?
What's up, man?
Joe, are you there?
I'm here.
Joe! Is it really you?
We're doing it, brother. We're doing it. Joe Gacy, welcome to our flashback interview of your interview from Shot of Wrestling in 2018.
Well, thanks for having me.
Joe, I'm excited, man. I can't believe you're on the phone right now. I got goosebumps. Oh, man, I'm ecstatic. I'm happy to have you here, brother. Oh, how you been?
I mean, pretty good up until, everything that's going on started. But, I mean, still being good, just, hanging on, trying to get through all this.
Yeah, I know it's a lot going on, man. You got your sanitizer? You got your toilet paper?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Not too much toilet paper, but I got a lot of sanitizer.
Thank God. I was waiting to see your response on that one because I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense, Joe. You need to eat. You need to eat in order to use the toilet paper. I don't know. Anyway.
I agree. I said the same thing when I saw all these pictures of all these people walking out of the store with toilet paper, I don't understand why that was the one thing everyone decided they needed.
Oh man, I don't know either. I was baffled.
Well, Joe, a
Go ahead,
lot
Bree.
has happened since you were on our show in August of 2018. We were actually making our road to Boardwalk Beatdown, and we actually, Jimmy and I spoke to about this a little bit prior to getting you on, but you never got your match with Matt Riddle, and you never got your
Yeah.
match with Steve Blackman.
Yeah, no Steve Blackman, no
No,
Matt
Steve.
Riddle. But I mean, I would say never count out the possibility of a Matt Riddle match in the future. You never know.
Right, right.
But
Well,
I would say the Steve Blackman match is probably, as time goes on, probably more likely to not happen. But I'm still hanging on hope for that one also.
oh, me too. When I heard Blackman on that interview, man, I marked out, and I probably was one of the only people to mark out about Steve Blackman. And no offense to Blackman, he's a hell of a talent, but I don't know anybody else that I talked to that really wanted to see Steve Blackman in another match aside from me and you. So I want to see it. I'm going to make it happen. Somebody got to book it.
Well, as long as one person wants to see it, that's all that matters.
Hey, it's me right here. This guy.
Joe, when we spoke in 2018, we joked about you being a 1.5-time CCW champion, but you actually returned back to the company, and you really proved anybody who thought you were a transitional champion wrong. You are now a 3-time and current CZW champion. So tell us about the story of that. What made you return to the Combat Zone?
I'm not too sure. I guess like a lot of good words were put into my head, if there's any right way to say it. There was a small period of not liking the way I left, the terms I left on. The company is honestly looked at in a certain light currently, or at least maybe a year ago. And the way I exited was not probably my favorite way, so I kind of wanted to at least have one more good run before I decided to leave the company that I used to call home. So it's kind of like it has a weird soft spot in kind of my heart, if you could say that.
Yeah.
So I didn't, I want to be happy with the way I leave when that time comes.
You also mentioned that around that time you were the head trainer for the Combat Zone, and now you're a head trainer for Evolve. This is
true.
Is the experience from CZW kind of blend over to Evolve for you to be looked at for that position?
So I would say yes. Unfortunately, with everything going on and delays, the school has yet to officially open. So I have not had any classes as of yet, but hopefully when everything, gets back to normal, we'll kind of be able to jump on that quickly. But yeah, I mean, as far as I know, they were looking for somebody local enough that is, confident enough to run or be the head trainer of the school. From what I understand, a few good people kind of told Evolve that I would be a good choice. So they were the choice. I was the choice they went with, and couldn't be more excited. And now I'm kind of even waiting longer, so getting more excited to finally start.
What does it mean to be trained by someone like Joe Gacy? What is something that you bring to the table as a head coach?
I would like to think that I train students the way I was trained, and I like to think I was at least trained on the tail end of a little bit of the old school type of training, as far as you got to work for what you earn. You basically have to earn everything you get. You have to pay your dues, things like that. And I just see a lot of these new upcoming talent. What's the best way to say it? They kind of have an attitude as far as they want things handed to them quickly.
Wow.
And if you're a talented guy and you rise quickly, that's one thing. But to, let's say, be a student one place and complain that you're not getting put on the main shows and things like that, like, for some reason nowadays I see that as a normal thing, and to me that's a problem.
I think that's a problem with our generation.
That's a problem everywhere. It's a generation, but it's everywhere. It's like everybody has their hands out and complaining, about the fact that they're not getting put over, but at the same time they have to do their part as well.
Exactly. And I learned ups and downs. I learned from my own mistakes and my own errors, and that helps you grow into a better performer and a better wrestler. And I would say I would like, when I get the opportunity to start Evolve, that I'll be able to share those experiences and try to make these people learn from my mistakes and not make the same ones. Hopefully I will be able to share that knowledge soon.
Well, Joe, I mean, you evolved into Evolve, and the question I have though is, what do you prefer? I mean, do you prefer being a trainer or being in that ring as a talent on the show?
I mean, the obvious answer would be to be in the ring. I love to be on the show. I love to be in front of the people. But, being a trainer has its own rewards, and being a trainer is also something, if I stick with that one day, if, my body decides to give out on me, and I can fall back and still be a part of the business because, let's be honest, I don't think I'm ever going to leave wrestling one way or another. I'm going to be around. So to me, that would be the ideal position for me if one day I can't perform anymore.
Well, you've already made that decision. I mean, even in the beginning of our interview, episode 128, you mentioned, you wanted to leave the deathmatch scene because you wanted to focus on longevity in your career. So to be able to now add being a coach and being a trainer into, your skills, that is something that's going to keep you around in the wrestling business for way beyond the years of when you stop performing. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I hope it does that. I'm hoping that I am more valuable to people in that sense.
Hey, either way, Joe, you always got a spot here at the Shot of Wrestling.
There you go.
We'll bring you in, and you're always welcome to come to one of the watch parties. Come to the watch party.
I'm not going to say no to wings and beer, and once the world is back to normal, I would love to come out sometime.
Yeah. Well, like Jimmy said, you always have a spot here because you're family. And
that's it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. You're welcome.
And Joe, you grew your family this past year. You got married. Congratulations.
I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did everything turn out?
Amazing. It was one of those days where, you take all this time to plan and all this stuff, and you just want everything to go right. Day of, I'll be honest, day of, I was very nervous and kind of frantic. But once everything started, I calmed down and got to, enjoy everything. But everything was great, minus it rained a little bit when we were outside for our ceremony. But it stopped, which was good. It would have been, nice if it didn't rain at all, but we made it work, and it was still a great day I will never forget, of course.
You had a great photographer. It was at a brewery. Did they have enough beer for you guys? Because your guest list was full of drinkers.
It was. They had plenty of beer. I'll be honest. When we booked the place, they told us we requested a certain beer that we liked, and they told us they were going to have a certain amount, and me and her both kind of wondered if it was enough, but it was. They have a good selection of beers all around. If anyone out there locally knows of the place, it's called Cape May Brewery in New Jersey, around Cape May, New Jersey, toward the shore. Very good place. Amazing beers, amazing atmosphere.
The photographs, Joe, the photographs that you were taking also had like this horror movie feel. And when you spoke to us on episode 128, you mentioned you were a big horror movie fan. Did you inspire that photo shoot, or was it something that you and Amy kind of worked out together?
So I think we knew from, going into it what we wanted to do. Plus we were a little inspired by, we saw somebody do like a horror shoot kind of in the same way, but not exactly the same. So me and Amy kind of put our heads together and came up with it. Although we came up with everything day of, kind of, as far as what shots. I think they came out great, and everything worked out really awesome with those.
Dude, you said you're not a fan of remakes. What'd you think of the Halloween remake, though?
Terrible.
Terrible? Oh, my God. You just destroyed me right here. You thought it was terrible? Why?
So here's my problem with a lot of remakes nowadays. I think they dive too much into backstory, and I think that causes the character to be less creepy. When you know too much about the person or monster, then it kind of takes away the unknown factor. And when something is unknown, it's scary. Like, for instance, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, nobody knows anything about Leatherface, and when he shows up, it's terrifying. And you know nothing about him except he's going to, take you and eat you. But, in remakes, you go dive into the backstory, and then, maybe you form some kind of understanding of him, and then you feel sorry for him. That's not really, in my opinion, how it should go. But that's just me.
That's actually a damn good reason. I don't like a lot of remakes myself, but I thought Halloween was pretty good. They're coming out with 2 more that you're probably not going to like either.
Well, so if you're talking about the newer Halloween movie that came out, I did like that. I guess reboot, would be maybe the better word. The one with Jamie Lee Curtis in it.
Yes.
I did like that one. My only, and I'm kind of a snob when it comes to horror movies. My only complaint is that since this one takes place after the first movie, and they act like none of the other movies happened, was realistically, if you look at it, Michael Myers in this movie hasn't really killed a lot of people. So I don't know why everyone's so scared of him. Realistically, if you're basing it off the first movie, he killed like his sister and a few people, but that's really about it.
They should have did it all for the second one. That's what I thought. I said, because the third one messed the whole flow up. The third one had nothing to do with Michael Myers, and then we went to 4 or 5, which I thought was good. But it's all moving pieces. So many variables in the Halloween series that I don't know. I agree. I think that one. I personally think it should have went right from the second one. I should have been like the third one, and then so on and so forth.
If they kind of based it from the second one, I think it would have came off maybe a little better. But that's one man's opinion. I will say, and I won't keep ranting about remakes, but I did enjoy. I don't know if we spoke about this last time, but one remake I did like, as not a remake but more of a movie in itself, was the Dawn of the Dead remake back in 2004.
For those of you who are listening and are still under quarantine because of this coronavirus, you have something now to watch.
Yeah, it might be a zombie apocalypse very soon, so hey, it might really be Dawn of the Dead.
Another thing you could add to that watch list is Evolve's 10th anniversary, where Joe Gacy, you were on the WWE Network.
I was, and I still don't think it hit me yet, and it's been months.
I mean, you go into Evolve, and this is just our perspective. Correct me if I'm wrong, but being an independent wrestler, there are so many different avenues to go on, especially with the success of AEW as of recent. So you could go that AEW route, or right now I think you could go that Evolve route, because NXT is no longer that developmental brand, but I feel like Evolve's taking that spot, and it kind of creates a bridge to WWE. Is that accurate?
I mean, I think so. I would say there is kind of an umbrella of companies that they look at, I would say, more than others. And Evolve is definitely, there. Evolve and NXT shares talent now. So, I don't think NXT or WWE would really do that with a lot of other companies.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would say there's definitely a very good working relationship there. And Evolve is definitely a pipeline into NXT, WWE, if that's, where you want to go. And for me, that's where I want to be. So, Evolve is the place that I want to call home. And I mean, I do call home.
Yeah.
Joe, in the last conversation, the last interview, you spoke about the indie scene. Indie scene was on fire, and it still is. It's probably hotter than it's ever been right now. And you spoke about Cody and the Bucks. Could you, I mean, as a trainer, as a talent, as a fan of the business, I mean, did you see it happening? Did you see the whole AEW thing blowing up the way it did?
I'll be honest. I was a little unsure of how it was going to be received by the casual fan. I know, the diehards were going to love it, but you got to think there's a lot more casual fans out there than independent fans. So, I knew the independent fans were going to love it. I wasn't sure how the casual fans were going to react to it, but they definitely enjoy it, I think. They have a very big following now. I mean, I think that's great. I've said before, I think the more wrestling, the better. The more choices fans have and more opportunities it makes for other wrestlers. So I'm happy they're doing well, to be honest, and hopefully they'll continue to do well when we get back to normal.
Hey, listen, competition breeds excellence.
Exactly.
That's what it is. And I think we're going to come out of this, and business is going to be booming, Joe. I'm telling you.
I hope so.
Revenue, that's definitely going to happen. I mean, everybody's been cooped up. We're in the house. Like, what can we do? And then when it finally stops and we can live again, I think that the shows, I think every company's going to do well.
I hope so. I hope all the fans have a resurgence and go out to all the shows. And, as bad of a situation as everything is, I think, these fans taking a break from wrestling like this, I think is only going to amp them up even more for the future, hopefully, because, there's a lot of fans that are going to shows every weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and now that's kind of taken away from them, I think maybe a lot of fans are going to kind of have, I don't know, I guess withdrawal might be the best way to say that. So
they got to go to Anonymous. Oh,
I'm
man.
itching.
yeah.
I'm itching.
So hopefully, fans get real excited and definitely, get back to business when everything gets started back up again.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for joining us. It's been almost 2 years and a lot has
time's
happened.
flying.
You have done a lot. Like I said, 3-time now CZW champion. Your career taken off with Evolve. You and Eddie Kingston, as the Unwanted, defeated the current WWE Raw Tag Team champions to win those. You were on the WWE Network. You got married. You're still on the PWI 500 list. I mean, did I miss anything?
As of now, no. We got a new kitten. That's about it.
Breaking news!
Congratulations! What's your kitten's name? Green
his
Man?
name's Low-Key. He's
Oh.
real mean.
Oh, low-key!
More named after the Marvel character or Norse god than the wrestler.
But
awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Wait, hold on 1 second. I know what you're about to do. You're about to cut this interview up. I have to say one more thing.
Go
Joe,
Yes.
big thank you, Joe. I have to thank you. And you don't know this, but I'm going to tell you why. The first independent wrestling show I attended was a House of Glory event. It wasn't too long ago. It was 2017.
Okay.
It was you and Gangone in a street fight in that main event.
Okay.
That's what did it for me, man. That's what got me hooked on the indies. It was one hell of a match you guys
Oh,
had.
really?
Yeah, man. So I want to thank you, and also Gangone. I thanked him already, but I want to thank you now personally.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. That was a very fun match. I think that was me and his first time really having a match too.
Really? I didn't know. That was the whole of Nashville were over there. They were like the special guests at House of Glory and whatnot. And I went in there. I didn't know what to think, man. I never attended an indie show before, so I'm like, okay, let me see what this is about. They had some good matches on the card, but you guys tore the house down, man. So it was just a really great match.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, man. Thank you.
Awesome, brother. Well, on that note, thanks for joining us on Shot of Wrestling Flashback Interviews, brother. We'll talk very soon.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me as always.
And if you listen, any more remakes come out, Joe, you'll be hearing from me on social media.
Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
I can't believe that just happened. We just caught up with Joe Gacy. This is great.
Hold on a second, Green. The light is leaving right now. The light is. I said Jesus came down. And he's the one that made this happen. Thank you, Jesus. Okay.
You're wild. I'm really happy that you got the opportunity to let him know that he got you into the independent wrestling scene as a fan. That's awesome. Pretty cool, man. We're hoping to do a lot more of these flashback interviews for you. If you want to get a jump start on everything that's been going on A Shot of Wrestling, all the way up to episode 200 and counting, you can check out our archives on iTunes and Podbean. And we will continue to have a weekly podcast, which gets downloaded every Monday, anywhere you could find all of your podcasts. Follow Michael J. Putty, Mark Schwann, Jimmy J. Give you an opportunity to plug your social medias, because you definitely need to be following this guy. Has a great opportunity with Breed Combination Wrestling, hosting his weekly show on Tuesday nights called The Curtain Call. But I'll let you do the rest, brother.
Man, I appreciate that, and allow me to plug the social media. And I do have quite a few, so I'm not going to plug them all. Don't worry about it. JimmyJ.ent. JimmyJ.en is a Nancy T on Instagram. That's going to be everything for everything, Jimmy J. So I'm starting to grow that following over there. Take It Home TV on the YouTube channel. Predominantly recaps of a lot of indie shows. We have some other things on there. I put the Curtain Call episode afterwards on there as well. And on Twitter at JHAGG719. And folks, listen, Shot of Wrestling, these guys, and I should say myself, I'm a part of the team here, but these guys, even before myself, they've been delivering audio gold, audio platinum for quite some time now. And I got to give you guys a lot of credit. There's nobody out there, in my opinion, that could hold a candle to you guys. Like, seriously, like honestly, when it comes to pro wrestling, it's you. It's you, it's Schwann, it's Putty, it's A Shot of Wrestling, people. And I'm not saying that because I'm part of the team. I'm saying that because these guys are so passionate about what they do. They believe in everything, and they are genuine, humble individuals. Like, you have to support them. All social media platforms, Spotify, Google, Apple, wherever you listen, just give them a listen. Give it a shot for A Shot of Wrestling, and you won't be disappointed.
Well, thank you. And on that note, stay tuned because we have last call. This is Abel the Green Man for Jimmy J, Joe Gacy. Good night, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I need to announce it's last call at the bar.
All right, everybody, we have made it to the end of the episode, and it is last call with Joe Gacy. Now, Joe, this is how it's going to work. Rapid fire questions. The first thing that comes to your mind is the first thing you should answer. Are you ready?
I'm ready to give it a whirl.
All right. What is your favorite adult beverage?
Reds. A can of Reds cider, probably blood orange flavor.
Fancy. What is the best feature on a woman?
Eyes.
Other than wrestling, what is your favorite sport?
Honestly, I don't watch too many sports. If I had to pick, I'd say football only because I used to play football.
All right. Who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
All time, McFoley. He's the one that got me into wrestling. But before that, after that, William Regal. So
okay. What
close.
Is your favorite WrestleMania?
I would have to say WrestleMania 17.
Okay. What fad or trend do you hope comes back?
I wouldn't mind collecting Pogs again.
Oh, dude, that was so fun.
Yeah. I loved Pogs.
Yeah, good one. What is your favorite song?
Oh, that's a tough one, too. Currently, I would probably have to say Lethal Combination by a band called the Wombats.
What is the first thing you will purchase with a big WWE paycheck?
Maybe a house. If I get enough to buy a house.
All right, let's hope you do. Joe,
yeah,
you survived last call. Thanks for being a guest on the show. You've been super awesome, and we'll see you at Boardwalk Beatdown.
Can't wait.
Hey, baby, I hear the bell ringing, hip tosses and body slams. Oh, my. And maybe you seem a bit confused. Yeah, baby, but I got you pinned. Ha, 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 ha. But I don't know what to do when I see them with that golden case. They're cashing it in. Authority all in my face. What is a man to do? Good night, everybody.